Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Bill Kenny and this is Josh Gossard, and this is our Thinking Bigger YouTube channel where we review books, business books, personal productivity books, self-help books that we love, and we just
sometimes not love as much.
We like this one though.
All right.
So let's get into this one. This one's called Pound the Stone. It's by Joshua Metcalfe, and we just reviewed one of his other books, Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's a very similar type of book. It's a personal productivity book written in a story format. And let's just tell them a little bit about the story, and then we'll get into our big top points.
Okay,
right?
awesome. So, like Bill said, this is kind of a follow-up to Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's different characters, but a lot of the same principles. In the book, the book's mostly about a young boy named Jason who's a basketball player, very kind of hot-headed, hot-tempered.
Yeah, he goes, obviously this is a book about who you become in the process.
Yep.
So he goes through different iterations of who he's becoming through it. So yeah, in the beginning he starts out as a undisciplined, hot-headed basketball player, and it follows his journey through some of the mentors that come into his life and some of the lessons he learns along the way, and how he conforms to some of the messages that we're going to deliver here tonight.
Yep.
And some of the things that we thought were some of the high points in the book.
And basically what happened, like Bill said, in the beginning he's very hot-headed, hot-tempered, and he gets into an altercation. Wasn't the first time, but this is kind of where the story starts off. They're going to kick him off the team unless he goes and does this summer program. And the summer program is he has to go door to door selling books. He has to go find actually someone who will take him in, let him live there with him over the summer, and then he has to go door to door selling books. And that's really where pounding the stone comes in, because I'm not sure about you guys, door to door sales is no joke. I've done it, it's no joke. And he learns a lot through this process, and that's really where pounding the stone comes into play here.
Yeah, and it's selling is I'm glad that was actually what they put in this book, because you and I both know learning the sales process and converting clients to sales is very, very difficult. I like that that was the process that he went through, because that spoke to probably us pretty well about, because we both have been there before. I've not done door to door. Well, we all have as a kid, but direct sales to people can be a very difficult thing to achieve, and there's a lot of fallout. Like 90% of people don't make it in real estate, so it can be difficult and challenging, and it's a tough process to understand. But so that's in general kind of what the storyline of the book was. But I know for me there was like maybe 2 or 3 points that really hit home. What would you say were some of your favorite points from the book?
In the book, of course, there's a lot of, like I call them, these one-liners. And the first one that really stood out to me was sometimes we get into our head and we start thinking, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? And then if we go too far down that path, we can talk ourselves out of doing whatever it is we need to do to ultimately achieve whatever it is we want to achieve. And what they said in the book was, instead of having the what if mindset, reframe that to even if. So even if this happens, do it anyway. Even if the person at the door is a jerk, do it anyway. Even if I knocked on doors all day, no one bought a book, do it anyway, because it comes back to pound the stone, going through the process and getting better.
Yeah. Follow the process. Don't let it take you down. Stay on the path. Always stay on the path. Push it forward, because that's what, in the end, the story that they start off with about Pound the Stone is, it's not the first or the second or the 101st hammering of the stone that breaks it. It's the whole process.
Yep.
Each hammering of the stone wears it down a little bit more, and that's what any process you're involved in. It's not the first one or the second one or the 50th or the 101st. It's all of them together.
All of them combined. The first swing is equally as important as the final swing that cracked the stone. Yeah. So
that also brings up one of the best parts that I thought in the book. Like these are all very elementary type things, but they really hit home when he delivers them a certain way. And the way the pound the stone philosophy was delivered in the book was, I think it was something like they were in a game and they lost the game on the last shot, and a lot of people would say, man, if you'd have just made that last shot, you'd have won the game. But that's not it. Like, what if you let down when you come out of halftime, right?
It's the missed free throw, the foul that you got.
All of those little things
yep.
are part of the process that allowed you not to split the stone in half, right?
Yep.
Win the game.
Well, they make a lot of sports references in the book, and they talk about Michael Phelps, how he won one of his Olympic medals. A gold medal was what 1/100th of a second.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like all the small little tiny things that add up over time. Mm-hmm. They give you just that slight edge.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that kind of spoke to you, Bill?
Yeah. So I thought the one that I just explained was an important point to me. Just continue with the process, and every little piece of it matters.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do matters. The other one is focusing on the process. It's not about what you're achieving, but who you're becoming. I think that's important. A lot of times we look at the end result and we think, what are we going to get by doing this? And by looking at it that way, you may try to go around or take shortcuts or things like that. But that's not what it's about. It's really about who you're becoming. Because once you become that person, then all those things are easier to be achieved.
Absolutely.
I think through the process. So focusing on the process and who you're becoming, not what the goal is, and conforming every day to those little things, or not conforming, but sticking to them. Committing to them. And knowing in your heart that you're doing the right things and you're becoming that person who can follow the process and achieve those results.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things that spoke to me and all of that is you can never get enough of something you don't need. And in the book, there was a time where Jason, the young man who was the basketball player, he's caught stealing a watch. And he talked about his mentor, Russ, talked to him about how fulfillment has to come from within. It will never come from outside of you. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how many championships you've won. It will never be enough because you don't fundamentally need those things. And it's like that really spoke to me because sometimes I ask myself, when is enough enough? And it really comes down to, again, committing to the process. Mm-hmm. The process of going to the next level, taking it to the next level constantly. That's really what it's about is, okay, you reach this plateau, whatever it is, whether it's physical fitness, it might be a relationship, it might be in business. You reach a plateau, okay, well, who do you have to become
mm-hmm.
to go to the next level? Who do you have to become to take it to the next level? So
yeah, because there's always something beyond that that you need to grow into.
Yeah.
In that same kind of vein, there was a part in the book where he was talking about how he was not growing at the pace that he wanted to, and one of his mentors in the book talked about see yourself as a stock. The part where they talked about you Inc.
Oh,
you Incorporated.
Inc.
Yeah.
You Incorporated.
Yeah, and I thought that was really good because you always want to be a stock that's going up, right? And how do you do that? You do that by growing yourself every little day. And if you think about how can I become better every day? That's you growing yourself into a high performing company or a stock that's of a higher value. So I thought that was a really good point. That's a real little thought, but it's a big thought when you think about how can I get better every day? Like, what am I doing to become a better person?
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, this was when she had mentioned to him, she asked him to look in the mirror. She said, do you see yourself as someone would you pay yourself $250,000 a year? Do you see yourself as someone that would earn $250K a year, and he couldn't say yes.
Yeah,
He had to be honest and say no, which actually is a perfect segue into another key takeaway I got was you can't cheat the mirror. And again, this is a basketball story, and she had used the scenario about how if you get sent to the foul line, the free throw line, and you know in your heart that you weren't actually fouled, there's a higher probability that you're going to miss the free throws because you know in your heart that you didn't earn your right to be there.
Yeah.
So
you didn't earn that opportunity fair and square.
So I thought that was actually really good.
Mm-hmm. The one of the other parts in the book that I think was important was part about arrogance versus humility.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, that part. It was basically stay humble and stay hungry. And there was a part where he was actually his skill level was gaining, and he really took it to him on the court. And then he was talking crap, and then one of his mentors showed up.
TD, Tim Duncan. We had to Google that before we were like, who is TD? Of course, I know who Tim Duncan is. I didn't know that was
So he had to basically say, "All right, let me show you how it's done."
Yeah.
But then he didn't use the arrogance that the main character did, and he showed him how to be humble when you play big and you win, and you can actually leave people with a good feeling rather than taking them down.
Yep, and that's key. Like again, back to the one-liners I love so much. The one-liner in that part of the book was arrogance is not a byproduct of greatness. Humility is a byproduct of greatness, and that was exactly what they said. Truly great people build others up, bring them up, rather than try to chop them down or make them look worse than themselves.
And that's the great thing about books like this. It just reinforces those little things that you may know, but you need to think about again and reinforce it over time until it becomes something that you think about. And if you can think about every day some of these little things, like what's the process that I'm using to get better every day? Like how am I creating, how am I gaining in value every day? And what am I trying to achieve, and who do I need to become to achieve the results I want to be? It might just be what do I need to do to be a better father, right? Like what's that process look like, and who do I need to become? And it may need to be a reevaluate who you are, right? Maybe some of the habits that you've created are not good, and that's not the person you need to become. So a lot of these little lessons make you think about different aspects of your life where maybe you're not achieving the results that you want, and I think that's the value of these books.
Yeah, and so Joshua Metcalfe, we didn't even mention that. So Joshua Metcalfe is actually the author of the other book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, and the value that I think he really brings to these books is the way he tells the lessons through a story, because it makes it easier to retain, for me personally anyway, and also you're able to actually see it in action. Like we can talk about these principles, but to actually see it in action, see it play out through the story, it really brings it back to, because we can sit here and say, arrogance is not a byproduct, but when you see it of the young man, schooling these other school kids on the court, but then the great Tim Duncan comes out and gives it to him like he's never had it before, and then just walks off the court like no big deal. He didn't brag, didn't boast. He actually thanked them for letting him join them on the basketball court.
And I think the value of this book and the other one that he wrote are not so much the stories. I think the stories are basically there just to give us these lessons.
Right.
It's just the story is there. It's not like a great story or anything like that, but it is a nice story that carries these important messages, and that's the most important thing. That each chapter almost has a message, and the message is kind of decoded in the chapter headline, and it's a quick chapter. They're really easy to read. Like once you start reading this book, and if this is your thing, you won't be able to put it down. I think I read this book in like a week and a half. So I mean, these are real easy books to read. And I think even like a teenager could read this.
Absolutely.
Definitely like.
And a teenager actually would relate to this one.
Yeah, because the main character is a teenager. So this would be something great if you could get your kids to read.
Good luck with that.
Yeah,
if you're able to
exactly.
make it happen, let me know how that works.
That would be good. If anybody's figured that out, please leave that in the comments. So
yeah. So
we can pass that along to ours.
We're getting close to the end of the time, and one of the things I wanted to mention before we wrapped up was how they talked about grit a lot, right? And one of the ways they described grit in the book was committing to the things and actually doing the things that are easy to do, but easier not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like we think that success is behind all this complex stuff, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's just doing. What do they say? It's doing the
basics,
the basics.
fundamentals.
Yeah, doing the fundamentals. It's not doing extraordinary things. It's doing fundamentals, basic things, extraordinarily well and consistent.
In the book, he was one of the mentors showed him some very easy to do footwork drills. They were like the basics, the founding fundamentals of basketball. These footwork drills were what were like the baseline. Like if you can learn this, you've got the fundamentals. And at the beginning, he thought it was so simple. He was like, I don't need to do this. I want to be the glory man. I want to shoot, and I want to dunk. But when he committed to the fundamentals, that's when his growth started to accelerate. Yeah. So in anybody's job, just like I'm a real estate investor, real estate agent. You've done real estate sales for years, and now you are bringing new team members on and adding new pieces to your business. And there's little fundamentals in all of that, and there's little things like communicating your message, or talking to enough people, or putting yourself in a situation where you can deliver your message of value.
Purposefully being vulnerable. That was a big one. That was a big part. So
I'm glad you brought that up.
Jason, the young man, it's his senior year. He's now the captain of the team, and there's a sophomore on the team, and he's not falling in line with the rest of the team. He purposely challenges Jason in anything he says. Mm-hmm. And there's a point where his mentor, Russ, says, he just basically explains vulnerability. And so Jason goes in and becomes vulnerable and exposes himself to the underclassmen, and he's able to get him
opening up your feelings and letting people see that you're human, and getting it out there so that other people will do the same thing and get those things that are holding them back off their chest, or to make it easier to discuss your problems and move forward as a team. And that's what they did. They were able, in the book, one of the characters commit suicide tragically, and it was holding all of them back because they were really
no one talked about it.
Yeah,
no one talked about it.
And so being vulnerable and putting himself out there and showing how it affected him, and that he shed a tear over it. That's a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't do. And there's we could go on and on about different stories and different parts of this, but I think we pretty much hit the high points on this one.
Yep.
But I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you're in a competitive field and you've got to commit to certain fundamental tasks, just like any sales type of job or long-term project or any sports type thing. I know, I don't know if you know this or not, but I was doing some research on the book before I bought it, and there was I think it was the Iowa State football team had read this book and committed to it and had their best season ever.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting, and so that just shows the power of the book.
So one thing though, just reading the book isn't going to get you there. You got to pound the stone.
Yeah.
You got to actually do it. Like, take the lessons. Even if you just take some of the lessons that we share with you this evening and you go and apply them.
Figuring out what your stone is and what your hammer is and get after it. Yeah, reading's not enough.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. again, pound the stone. My name is Josh Gossard. I'm a real estate agent here, and I actually run our Keller Williams office. So if you or someone you know wants to get into real estate or maybe switch over to KW, let me know. I'm happy to help with that. And I'm here with my good friend Bill Kenny.
I am also a Keller Williams associate agent, but more so I have a real estate investing business. We have a meetup group that meets once a month. We talk about real estate. So anybody is heavily into real estate investing, reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I know you are as well.
Yep,
Bill
Facebook
Kenny and Josh
Instagram.
Gossard. And we'd love to connect with you. We do usually say if there's a book that that you want reviewed, or that something that in this kind of vein that you think would work well for us, or something we'd like that we haven't touched on or spoke of, please put it in the comments below. And make sure you like this channel and share it. And we appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks.
See ya.